I think it is so important as a sensitive empath, a highly sensitive woman or girl especially, because we are so often the good girls, the good women who put up with garbage treatments, disrespect, and we don't set our honest, authentic, straight boundaries with people. So I think it is so important that when we start to learn what our boundaries really are and what our boundaries are really about, the feeling of the difficult aspect of it, because it will feel very difficult in the beginning when you start to practice it after abuse. So what I want to say is that, first of all, it's important to understand what your boundaries are and what they are about and when to set them and who to set them with. Well, you need to be setting them with everybody, but of course, if you are setting them with difficult narcissistic people, for example, toxic people who don't seem to respect you or your boundaries, of course that makes it more difficult. When as with a healthy person, you don't have to say much, you don't have to do much, it's not draining. They will respect you without you asking or demanding for it, and if you set your boundaries, they will respect your boundaries. They will listen to you, they will hear you out because they are a healthy person. But it is so important to be shedding those old layers of, of you embodying this good girl or good woman who doesn't stand up for herself, who doesn't have opinions, who doesn't have boundaries, who will put up with disrespect and, terrible treatment, abuse. So it's important to be shedding those old layers of yourself, of being, and that is exactly what you're doing when you start to change internally, when you become your authentic self and you discover your power and you realize that you don't need to be who you thought you were. Basically, you don't need to be that good girl. And the more you are your authentic self, you naturally also speak your truth more, and you naturally set those healthy boundaries even more. You say your opinions because you're not afraid what other people think. You are standing up for yourself and you're building your confidence and, self-appreciation, self-love, self-care, self-respect. You honor yourself, your value and worth as a good person, but you also know that you are not a doormat, that you are actually a human being who deserves to be treated well, with respect. And you also deserve love and care, even if you never had anyone to care about you or love you. But it doesn't mean that you don't deserve it, because you do. And you will also be noticing even more quickly when something is bad for you, when somebody is toxic, when somebody doesn't care, when somebody doesn't respect your boundaries or doesn't hear you or doesn't listen to you. Once you really start to shed these old layers and you are setting those boundaries, you're being your authentic self, you're being true to yourself, you're not abandoning or neglecting yourself anymore like you have done in the past when you have been abused by narcissistic people, for example, bullied and put down so much. So you will really easily feel and notice the difference, and it can raise a lot of feelings and emotions in you. And you can understand also that you need to let people be who they are. So let people be wrong about you, let people be against you, but let people be toxic, whatever because you don't need to be taking on every baggage and issue from everyone, and you understand that you never should have, because you have to take care of yourself. So you have to take care of what are your responsibilities, and other people are not your responsibility. They need to be responsible for themselves. So also this reminder that you have to be aware of this. And as difficult and even hurtful at times it can feel when you are setting your healthy, honest, authentic boundaries with others and with yourself too, the practice will take you through. So the more you just keep doing it, it will get easier. It's not going to get harder anymore. So it will definitely get easier when you just understand that you don't need to be this good person, nice person who always says yes to everything and who puts up with disrespect and abuse. When you are a good person, a kind, sensitive, empath, highly sensitive person, Earth Angel, Starseed, God's chosen one, human angel, it can really seem and feel like people want a piece out of you, because in a way they do that actually, especially toxic people. And of course it is not anything that should be acceptable. Because you're not an object to be used and abused and walked all over, even if they think so. But that is their false perception, because they are so selfish and toxic and immature that they just take what they want. But you don't need to give it to them. So live in your truth. Live and breathe and speak your truth and set your boundaries unapologetically, and let people think what they think. Those who respect you will always respect your boundaries, your opinions, and everything that comes to you. And those who are against you, they will try to minimize them and shut you down, put you down again, and dim your light and silence you again and all of that. But why should you go back to suffering? Why should you go back to being that good girl or good woman who pleases everyone and become that people pleaser again? No, you're not going back there. So that's not an option. So don't be afraid to be yourself. And the more you speak your truth and live your truth, it will repel those away who are toxic to you. And you are empowering yourself from inside out. And you are doing your entire life, your soul, your higher self, a service, a big service, by letting yourself be who you are. So you're not suffering in silence within anymore, because if you're suppressing yourself, you are suffering, and that is very unhealthy. So be bold, be brave, set those boundaries, even with the most difficult people. Say what you mean, speak your mind, write that email or that message, and tell them how you feel. And the more you are authentic, you don't have a mask to lose. So you're not fake, there's nothing to lie about, you're being honest, being truthful with yourself, with others. So it is very empowering, very healing, especially when you've been abused by narcissistic people in your life, especially if you've been scapegoated. You need to take your power back your soul, heal from within. So this is a part of that process, that whoever you interact with, that you're being honest with yourself and with others, and setting those boundaries and not letting people play with you anymore. So people know the rules, how you should be treated if they want to be in your life. And you're liberating yourself. You're not engaging in unnecessary arguments anymore, or anything that is really unnecessary and draining and toxic. You sign out of those things because you're more clear on what those things are. So this is also very powerful, very, very healing. You don't need to have many people in your life. It's the quality of people that counts more than the amount, how many you have, or if you have none. But as long as you're taking care of you and you're feeling safe. If you need more help and support with your boundaries, buy my self-help book on Amazon. Also grab my free self-care checklist, because it will remind you how to take care of yourself authentically as a sensitive empath, highly sensitive person. And also grab my Boundaries Bootcamp guide. It's only €7. You find all of my services if you go to my link tree. I don't have an official website right now, so I'm just using my link tree. And when you sign up, I will be sending you what you ordered in case you cannot download it from the site. But anyway, so wanted to remind you that you're not alone and there's help available. And you can also book a call with me if you need one-on-one coaching and help.